The Atlantic, once a symbol of US-European unity, has long represented more than just a stretch of water. For decades it was the invisible thread binding two continents together, fostering cooperation, shared prosperity, and a sense of common purpose. But today, that same ocean marks a deep and growing economic divide, as the spirit of partnership gives way to suspicion and rivalry. Decades of close collaboration are unraveling before our eyes. A fierce trade war has erupted, transforming former allies into economic adversaries and turning boardrooms and ports into front lines of a new conflict. The shift began with the resurgence of America First policies, tariffs and trade barriers designed to shield U.S. industries from foreign competition, revived and intensified after the 2024 election. These measures were meant to boost American manufacturing and jobs, but they sent shockwaves across the Atlantic. Europe, viewing these moves as a direct attack on the principles of free trade and fair competition, responded swiftly. The EU imposed its own tariffs on iconic American products, bourbon, motorcycles and more, striking at symbols of American culture and industry. Now, both sides are locked in a relentless cycle of retaliation. Each new tariff and countermeasure only deepens the rift, escalating tensions and inflicting economic pain on businesses and consumers alike. What was once a bridge of cooperation has become a battleground, threatening the very foundation of the transatlantic alliance and casting doubt on the future of global economic stability. The stakes have never been higher. As economic warfare replaces old alliances, the world watches anxiously, wondering what the next chapter in this unfolding drama will bring. The auto industry is ground zero in this trade war, a sector where global ambitions and national interests collide head-on. For decades, cars have symbolized economic power and technological progress, but now they're at the heart of a fierce international standoff. In 2025, the US slapped a sweeping 25% tariff on all imported cars and parts, aiming to protect domestic jobs and industries. The move hit European brands like BMW and Mercedes especially hard, making their vehicles far more expensive for American buyers and straining long-standing trade relationships. Prices soared almost overnight, and sales plummeted as consumers hesitated or turned to cheaper alternatives. Supply chains across Europe, already stretched thin, felt the shock as factories slowed production and workers faced uncertainty about their futures. Ironically, US car makers also suffered. Higher costs for imported parts meant pricier cars for Americans. Even vehicles assembled in the US became more expensive, squeezing both automakers and consumers. European manufacturers began cutting US jobs, closing dealerships, and scaling back investments. Tesla's European ambitions collapsed amid political backlash, with protests erupting outside factories and offices shuttering across the continent. Meanwhile, Chinese EV makers seized the moment, expanding rapidly in Europe. Their affordable, tech-forward vehicles filled the gap left by struggling Western brands, reshaping the competitive landscape almost overnight. The car war is reshaping the global auto market, and no one is left unscathed. From factory floors to city streets, the impact is being felt everywhere, signaling a new era of uncertainty and competition in the world of automobiles. The fallout spreads far beyond cars. Tariffs disrupt complex supply chains, hurting workers from German factories to French vineyards. American products like bourbon and motorcycles face EU tariffs, slashing sales and costing US jobs. Consumers on both sides pay more for everyday goods, fueling inflation and anxiety. The trade war, meant to protect workers, is instead costing jobs and raising prices. Ordinary people, workers, families, small businesses bear the brunt of this economic conflict. The true cost is felt in lost livelihoods and rising bills. The ongoing conflict has sent shockwaves through the travel industry, chilling international journeys and souring public opinion on both sides of the Atlantic. Once bustling airports now stand eerily quiet, and the sense of uncertainty is palpable among travelers. Stricter US border policies combined with a steady stream of negative media coverage have discouraged European tourists from visiting the United States. Many now reconsider their travel plans, worried about new restrictions and a less welcoming atmosphere. This downturn in tourism is taking a heavy toll on American cities, especially those that rely on international visitors. Hotels, restaurants, and countless service jobs are suffering as foot traffic dwindles and businesses struggle to stay afloat. Meanwhile, European disapproval of US trade tactics has reached an all-time high, with public protests and critical news coverage fueling widespread frustration. This growing resentment is deepening divides within European societies as people debate the future of transatlantic relations and express anger over perceived injustices. In America, the trade war is often framed as a necessary fight for national sovereignty and economic independence, a message that resonates strongly with communities that feel left behind by globalization. For many in rural towns and former industrial centers, these policies offer hope for a revival, even as they bring new challenges and uncertainty. The rift between the US and Europe is now cultural as well as economic, with mutual distrust and misunderstanding growing on both sides. As tourism declines, jobs vanish, and the sense of partnership that once defined the transatlantic relationship is strained. Decades-old bonds are being tested as never before. The transatlantic relationship now faces its toughest test yet, with both sides searching for a path forward amid growing uncertainty and division. This trade war threatens the global order built on cooperation and free trade. US tariffs signal a break from decades of consensus, risking global instability. Both sides threaten further escalation with businesses and workers caught in the crossfire. China stands to gain as Western unity fractures. The outcome will shape prices, jobs, and the future of US-EU relations. A negotiated peace could restore stability, or deeper conflict could reshape the world for years. The world watches, as decisions in Washington and Brussels will define the next era of global economics.